Alright guys, welcome to Hansen Speed Shop. It's Jesse, and today we're going to be digging into this May of 1975 Schwinn Fair Lady that we've had kicking around here for probably at least 20 years. The thing's been neglected for the longest of time, and we're going to start digging back into this thing and get it roadworthy again. This is going to be kind of similar to like what I did on my reviving a vintage muscle bike video, but a little bit less how-to. We're just going to kind of show each thing that I do to this bike to get it roadworthy again, and anything interesting that I find along the way. But by the end of this thing should be ready to rock and roll. It's winter right now, so we weren't going to be able to ride the bike by the end of the video just because I don't want to slap it all up and everything. But at some point, now that the thing will be rideable again after this video, we will be doing a ride review on this bike, so look forward to that. So let's take a look at the bike. All right, guys, I'm going to apologize right off the bat. The lighting in here is not the best, so we'll just have to make do with what we have. But this is our 1975 Schwinn Fair Lady. I looked up the date code. It was built May of 75. A quick little history if you didn't watch the first video on this bike where I kind of said that we're going to be doing this project. Probably, I would say somewhere around the year 2000, give or take. We found this thing at a thrift store for like roughly 15 bucks. Bought it. We brought it back home. I kind of cleaned the bike up and then started riding it all the time. Rode it all over town. Would occasionally ride it to school. And just basically really had a lot of fun on the bike. And then it's basically just been sitting, rotting for like, I don't know, at least 15 plus years. Some parts have gotten scrounged off of it. I put a front wheel on it, and that front wheel was on my 68 Schwinn Stingray. It's like a S2 style sized wheel. It's not a Schwinn wheel, but the object for this bike is to not spend any money to get it back on the road, which should be very easy because all we're going to basically be doing is go through, grease everything, make sure everything's tight, and then use stuff I have laying around to kind of fix it up a little bit better. So it's got a nice, the front wheel's trued, it's good, it's greased, it's got a nice new tire on it, so that takes care of that. But we're going to have to dig into that headset because it's never been touched since new. Tear that apart, clean everything, grease it. I've got a nice, or a better set of grips that we're going to put on because these ones, as you can see, they're all blown out and pretty crappy. We're going to dig into that bottom bracket. I've got a nicer set of those same style pedals with the reflectors on that I actually found at a thrift store for like $2, so we're gonna throw those on. We're actually gonna throw the old gripper slick that had the patch in it. If you guys have watched any of my videos on my 68 3-speed bike, the original tire I had on there had a hole in it, and then I patched it. But it's still going to be better than what's on here right now, so we're going to throw that on here and just check over everything. So I'm going to start digging into this thing, and then I'll kind of show you what I do as I go along, like I talked about, and if I see anything really worthwhile or interesting, I'll show you guys, and then kind of show you guys the finished results. Also, we're going to clean this bike up and polish it up really good because it's got a lot of like mold on it and dust and dirt, and it's just really like grubby and dirty from sitting for like 15 plus years. So I'll start digging into it, and then I'll show you guys some updates as we go. All right, guys, so we're going to take one quick look at the bike before I start digging into it. I can't really get super great camera angles because I'm kind of cramped into a small area here working on this. But I got it out of that hole back there in the back of the shop. So this bike actually isn't in terrible shape. It's just been rode and used, and it should clean up pretty good. Here's that cool like Brady Bunch looking seat on here that I got a lot of shit for riding this thing when I was a kid. but I always thought it was kind of neat just because you don't really see those too often. But as you can see, like this pedal is missing a reflector and they're pretty worn out. This back tire is bald and dry rotted. And then as you can see, there's just like a lot of dirt and mold and crust built up on this bike. The grips are pretty bad. I've got a nicer set of grips right here. I actually paid like $5 for these. I bundled them with some other grips. They wanted $10 from them. I had a swap meet that I was at last summer, which is actually not too bad for Schwinn grips. Usually that's about average price, I guess. But I bundled them with a couple other pairs and got them for cheaper. So the pedals are right here. And let's see, paid $2 for those. Exactly the same style pedals that are on here. So that'll work out really nice. And then our back tire is this one right here. It's not perfect, but it'll be good enough for this bike. So that is a look at it. Just kind of want to show you a better look at what we're working with here. And then I'm going to start digging into it now. Alright guys, one other quick thing before I dig into this bike. I always talk about this. If you pick one of these up at anywhere and it hasn't been touched for a while, don't just hop on it and ride it. For a couple reasons. Number one, you could get hurt. And number two, you could wreck stuff that, you know, if you just took a couple minutes to, you know, tighten up or whatever, you're not going to ruin it. And this old Schwinn stuff, as of recent, it's really gotten expensive, so you don't want to wreck stuff if you don't have to. But just some safety things, like on this bike, this seat clamp bolt is completely loose and this seat's completely loose. That stem is also loose, so if you were to just hop on this bike and ride it, you could be in for a bad day. So just go through and check stuff like that out. Make sure everything's tight. And just for safety reasons and just to make your riding experience better. And also you don't want to damage parts. So you have to get new parts. You're probably going to have to spend a lot of money. And they can be hard to find. On a bike like this, it's not as big a deal because it's not a super valuable bike. But if it's something more expensive, definitely want to take more time with it. So just a little tech tip there for you guys. Alright guys, so I dug into this back wheel, and this back wheel really isn't like the best. There's some bent spokes, and it's not the best wheel, but we're just gonna make it work. So I steel wooled up the whole thing with some 00 steel wool. It still has some rust here and there on it, but it's not bad. It matches the bike. And then I dug into this back hub, completely tore it apart, which isn't the most difficult thing, but it's definitely not the easiest. You just want to make sure you lay everything out exactly how it came out of the wheel, because otherwise it will not go back together. There's really only one way this, you know, it'll go back together. So got that, got our tire on. That looks really nice on here. Everything works just like how it should, and you know, as good as it's gonna for an old crappy wheel and tire. Got this tightened up. If you see under here, it's got this really corny like double loop setup on here, so you could run the seat post here if you wanted to move it back farther. I'm just not a big fan of this setup, so we're going to take the one off of this seat, which is just a single style, and put that on here. I got the pedals off because we're going to pull this crank out and re-grease all that, and just kind of keep moving along here. Alright guys, I've shown this a couple times when I revive these old bikes of why you want to tear this stuff apart, and as you can see, I just in the process of tearing this bottom bracket apart, and zero grease. So all you were getting for lube is rust dust. There's absolutely zero grease in there. So That's why you want to tear this stuff apart, clean it and grease it, put it back together. It's going to ride a million times better and last a lot longer also. All right, guys, so we finished up our little fix up here on Project Flower Power. I hope you guys dug this. It turned out really nice. Came out really looking good. Next time you guys are going to check this thing out, we'll do a ride and review on it. Got the new grips on it. Those look really nice. Put the new pedals on it, and they actually have a date code of 1976 on right here. So they're pretty much perfect for this bike. Right here on the down tube, there was a piece of tape, and I scraped that off, and then under it was a City of Milwaukee registration that expired in 1984. So this bike was probably ridden up into the mid-80s, and then the family must have moved to where I live, which is about 3 hours away from Milwaukee. And I got this bike like in the late 90s, early 2000s. I always liked how this says Stingray on the chain guard. So it's a Schwinn Stingray Fair Lady, which is really cool. Back tire looks nice. Seat cleaned up pretty good. So that is the Project Flower Power Schwinn Stingray Fair Lady. I hope you guys dug this. Hopefully you learned something. Otherwise, until next time, get out, work on your own projects. Get those hands dirty and greasy. Stay cool, and we'll catch you cats on the next one. Thanks for watching.